Yes.
It's gonna having. I will say this: having NHL and being able to like watch on TV the Hawks uh, play basketball is a nice. It's a nice holdover until we get back to MLS schedules,
Yeah.
and like NPSL and like all the degenerate things that get us through the year.
Yes. So Nico Jarrett, now that he is in Salt Lake City, we're trying to make sure that he gets as much hockey as possible in the in-betweens until soccer training camps kick back in. So he's going and watching East Coast League. He's watching minor league stuff. He's watching the Mammoth play, and his daughter. How old's the daughter? How's Ivy Board now?
She is 8.5.
So you've got an 8.5-year-old daughter who has now become addicted to hockey.
Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, and she's already into she was going to to soccer games, but when she was like in utero, so that part was already done, and she's excited to actually go see more games in the spring. But we'll get there when we get there.
Yes. We bring in our buddy Nico Moreno from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. I offer my salute to you, sir. And it's always great to see you on a Thursday, on a normal day. Roster decisions, free agency is opening up, and you got folks that are leaving and heading to Liga MX. Were you surprised that that Danny Leyva finally has made his way down to Liga MX with the timing of it? Did it seem like it was dragging its feet a little bit, or was this in the timing pattern that you were thinking this was going to go down?
No, the timing was fine. The move was surprising.
Yeah.
I will not lie. It felt like it came out of left field simply because there had been a time where Danny Leyva had a couple of opportunities to go to Liga MX, specifically to Pumas at one point. I thought that obviously coming off his best season and the possibility of Obed Vargas leaving, the team would be inclined to keep him. And I know for a fact that this wasn't like a offer that you can refuse, right? It's not something beyond anything we've heard before. Actually, everything that I've been able to hear is that it's below the million, but there is a possibility that with certain play performance type of situations that could add up beyond that million. But at the end of the day, it did kind of feel like it was going to be his time to shine here with the Sounders. So I was surprised in that regard. Now, I'm not surprised that a team like Necaxa would look at Danny Leyva. I think Danny Leyva provides a type of midfielder that you don't see often. He has the vision, he has the passing, he's young, he clearly has a Mexican nationality, which does help out when it comes to the roster built in Liga MX. The other part that was surprising about this move is that Necaxa, it's a fluid concept right now, right? That they ended up sacking Fernando Gago, who has been a bit of a fraud as a coach. I mean, he's been bad team after bad team and bad situation after bad situation. They actually just yesterday, Necaxa ended up showing and introducing their new head coach. So all of that was a little bit odd when you're going and getting a young player like Danny Leyva. However, I do feel like his skill set matches up very well with what we see in Liga MX. The speed, the style, everything about Liga MX just feels like it fits Danny Leyva. And look, I've seen him grow tremendously. I mean, from the point of when he first came onto the scene at 15, 16 years old to the player that he's now, I mean, it's night and day. He's clearly a player that goes to work. He's a student of the game. He is the one of the last guys off the field. This last season, he was one of the last guys off the field because he was just doing set piece after set piece after set piece, free kick, corner. I mean, the kid has put in the work. So I'm just excited for him to get an opportunity and perhaps be one of the faces of Necaxa going into next season.
It is catching up with our buddy Nico Moreno. It is off-season calendar. Free agency opened up yesterday. Re-entry stage 1 is today. We've got MLS Cup to talk about. Jarrett, what's on your mind with Nico Moreno?
Actually, I want to stay in Seattle because as we're talking about Leyva, as we're talking about Obed Vargas, I want to ask you, because we are degenerates about academy kids coming through, and we're not trying to set unreal expectations or set kids up for failure, but who are some names around the Seattle area that fans outside of the city need to keep an eye on, who might be getting game time this year and they might not be familiar with?
That's a great question. Obviously, the guys that are going to be coming into playing first team minutes, you kind of already seen some cameos of, and you might even be able to find them in a lot of Tacoma Defiance games. So all of that to say that I think guys like Peter Kingston, who did get a cameo with the team last season, he's obviously a young player that can play center midfield. He could play right back. He is a guy that is a very coachable guy. He has that Sounder DNA, that Brian Smetzer type of effort and willingness to put in the work. I think a guy like Santiago Gomez is another player that this team has rated extremely high. He's a center midfielder. He could play attacking midfielder. He's played on the outside. Some people might think that he's more of a winger. I tend to think that he's more of a central player. He's a guy that I really do think you're gonna, if not see him in a first team contract, he's gonna get a lot of minutes throughout the year, specifically with all the tournaments that will be happening. And that right now, this Sounders depth is not what it was last season. And I don't necessarily expect a bunch of moves here in the winter window. They're probably going to want to see what they have within Tacoma and within the roster right now. And finally, Tonio Lopez. He is a center back who I really like, who I think he has the body build. He's a guy that's he's had ups and downs in his career. And I really look high on a player that can be given the opportunity to do a one-time play with the Sounders. He played a game at Houston, and then all of a sudden he kind of fell off, right? And the fact that he's still moving, he's still improving, he once again regained some of that, you know, desire from the coaching staff to have him in consistent trainings, to have him as part of the team, as being one of those guys that you're thinking about bringing up from Tacoma Defiance. So those are the guys that will be seeing real minutes coming out from that end. In terms of the team that are already there, that is an academy product, and who's the player that I'm looking forward most to see next season, is Stuart Hawkins. Stu Hawkins is a guy that has been in the youth system of USPS national team for the longest time. He has the IQ, the ability on the ball, and now the frame to fill it. Because there was a point in Stewart's career where you would look at him and he was a little bit lanky, you know, maybe could gain some weight, and he had the height, but he could definitely filled it up a little bit more. And after the injury last season, he spent a whole lot of time at the gym. And whether it was just chest and biceps, triceps, whatever you want to call it, I mean, that kid looks filled up and ready to be a first team player. He obviously has a first team contract. He just didn't get a lot of minutes last season. But with how things are going, I really do hope that he's a guy that doubles up at the very least the minutes he had in 2025.
Yep. Defiance made their roster decisions. Let's see, it was yesterday afternoon, and they exercised options on 4, in addition to re-signing defender Antino Lopez to a new deal in 26. So the roster is at 9. Wade Weber had his standard sound bites, the director of development, but the biggest one there seems like Lopez inking the new deal. Options exercised on Alvarez, Gaffney, Kingston, and Robles. 4 other players under contract: Dodzi Gomez, Omar Hassan, and Mohamed Shower. Declining contract options on Ryan Bear, Barame Diao, Rafferty Petter, Elias Katsados, Jackson Curry, Yu Sukunome out of contract. Kaito Yamada's loan expires. He goes back to Vissel Kobe. Sukunome remains in active discussions with the organization. Sukunome has been a guy that you've brought up on multiple occasions that you're kind of looking at to see what his next level is and what his ceiling can be inside the organization.
Yeah, that's a very sneaky way to say we're talking to the player, because I do believe that he's going to be signed to the first team. I mean, clear cut, plain and simple. He is an attacking midfielder that just plays the part. And he, whether it was Open Cup games or Tacoma Defiance games or in training during the week, he was a guy that just made you turn. Who's that? What number is that? I mean, Yu Tsukunome, I feel like the way that was phrased in this specific release about the Tacoma Defiance moves, all it's saying is that he's no longer going to be a Tacoma Defiance player.
Okay.
And he's clearly going to make the move there with the Sounders. So there is room for improvement athletically, dynamically. The speed of the game is going to change. But I said this about not a lot of players, but about specific players, and it always seems to translate pretty well, is whenever I hear from senior players about Tacoma Defiance players or academy players, because they just played that well during training or a scrimmage, that's where I gravitate. That's where I'm like, okay, let me mark this guy on my notepad. Yusa Konome 3, 4, 5 times last season. I had several players come in and be like, hey, that kid, he's got it. So I do feel like he's going to be a guy that's going to sign with the team, and it's going to be interesting to see how he plays out.
Jarrett Smith for Nico Moreno on a Thursday, as we do Thursdays with Nico around MLS.
So shifting back to the grand scheme of things, MLS Cup last weekend went chalk in a lot of people's minds. So what was your grand takeaway from 90 minutes that saw Messi finally get to the top of the mountain in MLS?
My final conclusion is that it was anyone's game. It was extremely competitive final. The stars didn't necessarily shine to the point of that it was the whole game, but Messi just has the edge because all it takes is 3 or 4 moments during the game for him to put his signature on it. And I think I put that out there on the socials. He just put his signature on it. I mean, if you look at that game, there wasn't a lot of room that was given by Vancouver. I thought they played him well. I thought that they took away his avenues to create times for whether it was in transition or positionally. If you look at that game during the first half, there's a conversation with one of the coaches from Inter Miami, and he's like, we need to get the ball more. How do you get Messi involved? You need the ball. So Vancouver did a really good job as just eliminating and minimizing the amount of time on the ball that Messi had. But all he needs is 2, 3 moments. And that's what you saw. I mean, it was just the brilliance of that last goal, right? I mean, it's a ball over the top from Jordi Alba, the way he receives it, the way he touches it and just chips over the defender. And then Allende breaking the season record, showing any doubter that he was a guy that came as a prospect, that I remember clearly being a guy that you could not take your eyes off when he played for Godoy Cruz in Argentina. He had a bad stint in Europe, and now with Inter Miami, he redid his career, and he looked amazing. I mean, what he did in the playoffs is literally unheard of. I mean, he literally broke the record of goals because he's always been a guy that puts himself in good position, has the frame, has the speed, has the talent. All he needed was to just put it all together, and he did that during the playoffs. So, all in all, I think that Inter Miami is a well-deserved champ. They put in a lot of money. It was a win now situation for Lionel Messi. Jorge Mas was ready to lift that trophy and be all behind the cameras. And every interview that was in MLS, he was like behind, chirping away because he just loves the camera. But the well-deserved champs of MLS. Credit to Lionel Messi. Credit to even the rest of the Galacticos. Busquets, he didn't have his best game. I mean, he turned the ball over a whole lot. Defensively, he struggled. But at the end of the day, they kept it together. They were able to put away Vancouver. The last thing I'll say, I thought Jasper Sorensen was a little bit shy to pull the trigger on a lot of guys off the bench. I thought Jade Nelson should have came in a lot earlier than he did. The Ryan Gold thing, I think is something that you wanted to see, but didn't quite play out with Ryan Gold coming in from the bench. So I just thought that maybe a couple of adjustments would have been interesting to see, but I don't want to take credit away from Inter Miami. They did it. They got away with it. It wasn't a 3-1 type of game, though. I heard Inter Miami just dominates this game. Inter Miami just play them off the park. That is a bunch of baloney. I mean, main, simple, 100% baloney. This was a very competitive game. It was anyone's game till the very end. And Inter Miami just finished more chances. And when it comes to this type of finals with two superstars, with two very good teams, that's all it takes is moments.
And I think that in one of those moments where it's 1-1, Vancouver's in the ascendancy, and you have 3 posts hit in a sequence in 4 seconds. And if that ball goes in, if I think it was Sabi. It's either
Sabi.
Yeah, so Sabi comes in, gets the goal. If he gets that second, and it's 2-1 Vancouver, instead of it going post kick out, and then you have folks crashing it, and it goes off of Falcone and the post again in 4 seconds. I think if that goal goes in, obviously it's a different tenor to that final 30 plus minutes of the match, but it wasn't. And you could kind of tell that Vancouver almost felt kind of snake bit at that point. It's like, okay, well, what do we have to do to get that second? And then 10 minutes later, Miami gets goal number 2, and then they get the goal number 3 with Messi taking care of it with RDP.
Yeah, it was one of those things where, look, Mascherano acknowledged it during the press conference. He said, look, that's the luck that he takes to win championships. And that's the reality. He's not saying I don't deserve to be here or we don't deserve this title, but he is acknowledging the fact that doesn't usually happen. I mean, the way that it hit both posts, and then I think Falcone tries to clear it, but he doesn't. And then Sabi's once again right behind it. I mean, that was a crazy dynamic where you're like, it's just their night. And then right after, what happens? How many times have you seen Berhalter hold the ball too long, turn the ball over in a vulnerable position during the season? You haven't seen it. And that's what it took. That's literally what it took. And out of all people, Messi's that guy pressuring you. Is he the master of pressing? I mean, I've never seen it. And he just is able to just get on the ball, you lose it. And when Messi has the ball in a more vulnerable place on the field, in a transition moment, and he has the paw in front, I mean, it's over, right? And the paw, credit to him as well. Very composed, great finish. But it took an own goal from Agenda to get the first one, a crucial, incredible mistake by Berhalter to get the second, and then it was game over. You're chasing the game, you're pushing numbers forward, and then that leads again to that goal by Agenda that we mentioned to start this small segment of the final. But at the end of the day, proud of Vancouver. You gotta applaud it. I think that there's a lot of players that might be moving from that team, but the core group is there. Mueller's a guy that seems to be there for the long run. So Jasper Sorensen, man, he's gonna give a lot of folks things to talk about next season.
No doubt. Jarrett with Nico, what's on your mind?
No, you went right where I wanted to ask you about was with Jasper Sorensen taking. I was nervous when they fired Vanni Sartini, not thinking they were going to completely backslide.
Yeah.
But Vanni Sartini had them to a point of a baseline of stability that they weren't always getting to, and it felt like one of those moves. Like, yeah, you might get to the next level, but you could also backslide. And man, they really seem like Vancouver took that risk trying to get better. And I know we're talking about Miami winning a cup and the Galacticos, and they're older and some of them are retiring, but it really does feel like Vancouver they'll make the right moves to fill some of these spots. They can be a part of this conversation for the next couple of years, and this might not be their only shot at all.
Yeah, there's a few guys, that might have to go. There's there's lack of flexibility when it comes to the salary cap space, and they might move some guys just because they have to. I think Laporte is a guy that's going to get, and I'm hearing there's at least 3 or 4 teams that are interested in a guy like Laporta, so he might be a guy that moves on. We'll see what happens with Sebastian Berhalter. I think he's gonna, especially with his involvement with the U.S. men's national team. I wouldn't be surprised if in the summer there is a European team ready to take him somewhere else. So, there's going to be a lot of players that might not be here by the end of 2026. But I agree with you. I think that there's a core group. I think that Jasper Sorensen has been a guy that he used what was left over from Sartini, was able to put his mark on it, allowed the group to continue to get better. And being a motivator is a skill that gets overlooked a lot of times. We talk about tactics, we talk about formations and triggers and all of these things, but being a motivator is just as important, man. And I think that if there was a team this season that got to final after final after final, and it was because of having the right mentality, it was the Vancouver Whitecaps. And it is credit to Jasper Sorensen.
And Vanni Sartini has been named the new head coach of the Halifax Wanderers in the Canadian Premier League.
And GM, I think.
And so you're looking at, they part ways with former manager Patrice Gaissar in October following their disappointing exit in the first round of the CanPL playoffs. And so they're calling this the biggest coaching signing in Canadian Premier League history. Vanni Sartini goes to Halifax to be with the Wanderers now. That is huge for the CanPL.
Yeah, don't know much about the team. Don't follow the Canadian Prem, but I do know that if he's taking the job, and he's going to have clearly not just the keys to what's on the field, but who comes in and out of that team. It's going to be interesting to see. I've always enjoyed talking to him. He was a guy that, forget the charismatic or eccentric way about him and the way he kind of handle his business. The guy, he is a soccer mind. I mean, he was ahead of the game. He understood it. He's a tactical guy, and he's someone that I think could do something very important for any team. I was kind of thinking he was going to be in MLS, but hey, if you're getting it with all the power and all the whistles and all the bells, go ahead and get it. Go ahead and get it, baby.
Exactly. Right there with you. Window's now open for free agency. It opened yesterday around lunchtime, and we're there in that window now. Re-entry, I think, is coming up in 2 hours, if I'm not mistaken with my timing. How active are you thinking that, say, Western Conference teams, not just Cascadia, not just Seattle, but how active are you seeing, say, West Coast teams, Western Conference teams when it comes to free agency and trying to fill out roster spots?
I think there is going to be a lot of movement from teams like Austin. That one comes to mind. San Jose. We don't know what's going to happen with Espinoza. It sounds like there was a point where I had heard internally that there was confidence that he was going to come back and it was going to be no issue, but that is now come and gone. And there is clear interest in Espinosa from several teams, one specifically in the East Coast that I'm not going to mention, but without a doubt, that's a guy that you look at him on paper and you see what he can perform and you see what he's worth. And even if he's at a DP level, because I think that's what the biggest conversations in bringing him on is can I make him a high TAM? And if he's going to take a DP spot, how is that going to work for my team? But this specific East Coast team, man, I mean, I feel like he's a fit, even as the DP would work out. So, I think that there's going to be a lot of movements. I don't expect the Sounders to be too active there. Dallas is another team that I feel like is going to be definitely active in this specific window. Colorado is another team that it comes to mind. Houston has a whole bunch of spots. They're looking for not just DP level guys, but TAM players. So Houston is one team that has a lot of room to get guys. So they might be one of the most active clubs when it comes to this re-entry and just early on in the free agency market.
All right. So what else is going on, Sounder at Heart and Pulso Sports, so folks can listen and get real smart what's going on in your part of the world?
Yes. Obviously, it's going to be more focused on this free agency side of things. We have some, not reruns, but we have some of our best moments from 2025 that are going to be coming on both Pulso Sports, Lobbin Scorchers, and everything in between. So go ahead and check that out. It's going to be very interesting. I do have a couple of planned interviews with former Sounder players, former MLS players, even that might be interesting to catch back up on and see what they're doing, where they're going. So in terms of Pulso, we do have some interviews that are going to be there for you guys to get. And then when it comes to Love and Scorchers and when it comes to Sounder Hard, we do have some planned things there for the off season as we break down what was 2025 and some of the most interesting moments, takes. And those are always fun to go back and watch.
Yeah, and figure out, well, and if it's somebody like me, you always get to figure out, okay, so how wrong was Nelson? And traditionally the answer is, oh, he's been incredibly wrong. Absolutely. As always, my friend, it's great to see you, and we'll catch up with you again next week. I will be one tired dude catching up with you next week because Jason, I think, is going to be doing shows next week because I have high school football championships Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So my first day out of that loop will be catching back up with you, with you and Nino a week from today. So I'm going to be sitting there and going, okay, what are we talking about? What did I miss? And so I'm going to have you. You thought that traditionally this bad boy is hanging out with me on
Oh yeah.
a normal Thursday. It's going to be like that big. It's going to be a big gulp, brother. As you have the matching Tupac champ Washington State Cougars. Now, did you win the Tupac or did Oregon State win the Tupac this year? The Pac-12.
No.
What's left of
Yeah,
it?
no, I think it's Oregon.
Okay, so as you are a Palouse dad, you're a Palouse papa now, and that's
Yeah, I'm a papa. Yeah, he's actually back. I just picked him up. He's here for the winter break. So that's been kind of fun to just see him back here. I think he misses home. Definitely, he doesn't have to make his own stuff. Doesn't have to do a lot of stuff.
laundry,
Re-see friends.
laundry, yeah, bringing the laundry home, all those kinds of things. As always, my friend, it's great to see you. Great to catch up.
Thank you, John.
It's a Western
Appreciate it.
perspective, and we will catch up with you. And I'm just gonna look. I'm just gonna roll out the carpet and go, dude, talk. Let me know what's going
Gotcha.
on.
I'm gonna try to have some stuff ready. I think that we're gonna have some things to talk about. I think that the Paul Rothrock thing might be something that we could talk about next season. Just it's not there yet. I checked the temperature on that turkey and it's not ready to be out yet. So I think that when it comes to Paul Rothrock move, I think there's going to be some interesting storylines here with the re-entry draft. So yeah, man, we'll have plenty to talk about next week, I think.
You got it. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend. Great to see you.
Thank you.
There he goes. There's Nico Moreno. He's going to go enjoy his coffee now.